Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, the course instructor of Standard Setting in Assessment. This course is in the program of MPhil Education, Area of Specialization Assessment. I am working as Assistant Professor at University of Education, Township Campus, Lahore. Dear students, I want to give an overview of this course. This course is Standard Setting in Assessment. Code of the course EDUC 5123. This is a 3 credit hour course. First of all, I want to explain about the course objectives. After successful completion of this course, the students will comprehend the concept of standard setting, critically examine the standard setting methods, compare Enghoff method of standard setting with other methods, understand the concept of vertically moderated standardized testing, apply versus measurement standard settings, use multiple methods of standard setting while doing assessment practices, explore practical issues in standard setting on computerized advanced adaptive tests, understand psychometric theory and the validation of performance standards, explore challenges and future directions of standard setting. The content of the course or units of the course are: Unit 1, Concept of Standard Setting; Unit 2, Common elements in setting performance standards; Unit 3, Standard setting methods; Unit 4, Scheduling standard setting; Unit 5, Future challenges in vertically moderated standard setting methods; Unit 6 comprises alternative assessment and challenges of standard setting, future direction and other challenges of standard setting. For this course, the teacher will teach the students through online lectures because of this situation. The students will be given assignments and critical research reviews of articles in Google Classroom. Suggested reading is given in this course outline in detail, along with the additional readings. I have distributed this course into unit-wise lectures. In the units are sessions. But before this, I want to clear about the assessment policy. University of Education has given a approved assessment policy which includes midterm exams, homework assignments, class participation, attendance, and final term exams. Midterm and final term exams will be decided later on. However, about final exams also will be decided and will be updated on this session plan, and according to a unanimous decision, the assessment will be dealt. Now the detail of course contents and weekly schedule. From March 25th to 28th, Unit 1, Concept of Standard Setting, Definition of Standard Settings, and Standard Setting and Endeavoring Needs will be taught. And March 29th to 31st, General Approaches to Standard Setting, Standard Setting Policy Issues, its scoring criteria and total performance standards and benefits of standard setting will be covered in this week or session. In the April, from 1 to 6th, common elements in standard performance setting, standards, purpose, choosing a standard setting method, performance level labels and descriptions, and the next week from 7th to 12th April, selecting and training participants, professional guidelines for standard setting, evaluation standard setting, and feedback to the participants. From April 13 to 20, the standard setting methods will be started to teach. These includes Nadelsky method, Abel method, and Goff method, and the next week will also cover the remaining standard setting methods, which includes contrasting groups and borderline groups methods, the bookmark method, the item descriptive method, Hofstee and Buke method, the body of work method, etc. And last and days of April, from 28th to 30th, scheduling standard setting will be taught. And in May, the future challenges in vertical moderated standard setting methods will be covered. And in second week of May, alternate assessment challenges of standard setting will be focused, and May 15 to 29, future direction and the challenges of standard setting will be focused and will be taught. And in the last week of the May, generalizability of standards will be taught. About final exams, I will update later on the Google Classroom, and the students' question answer, again recommended readings are included in this session plan, and the students' questions and assignments will be included in Google Classroom, and the queries of students will be addressed in the Google Classroom. So now I focus on the course. Coming to the current session, contemporary standard settings. After learning this topic, students will be able to define the concept of standard setting, define concept of cut scores and its need, describe general approaches of standard setting, describe policy issues in standard setting, and scoring models. And in the last, they will be able to describe and write item scoring criteria. Now moving on towards the definition of standard setting. Standard setting is defined by different people. The this is the one of them. That definition: standard setting is a methodology used to define level of achievement or proficiency and the cut scores matching to those levels. Standard setting refers to the process of establishing one or more cut score on examinations. So this is the standard setting method is that which define or describe the levels of achievement or proficiency and also state the cut scores matching to those levels. So this is very important process in the assessment techniques and so on. The cut scores divide the distribution of examinees' test performance into two or more categories such as pass, fail, award, deny a license, or grant या withhold a diploma or credential. Many researches have been conducted on standard setting methods. According to the finding of one research pointed out, establishing cut score can literally be a matter of life and death. So it's so important that it is a matter of life and death. It's very important because it involves the life decisions of students and other stakeholders. So this is very important. Definition of cut scores. A cut score is the point that sets that predetermined level, पहले से तयशुदा level. It differentiates between those who pass and those who fail. It means it describes the difference between pass and fail people. Multiple cut scores may also be set to more finally separate students into categories. It means the cut scores may be from two categories, pass, fail, that may be more than these categories. For example, students may be classified as advanced, proficient, need improvement, or unsatisfactory. Now, I will describe the endeavoring need of standard setting method. Standard setting is best considered early enough to align with the identified purpose of the test. It means standard setting purpose align the purpose of test with the test. To align with the selected items or task formats when there is an ample opportunity, when there is a large opportunity to identify relevant scores of evidence, identify relevant sources of evidence which has concern with the validity of categorical assignments or items of the test, various assignments, various items. When the evidence can be systematically gathered and analyzed, it means that in standard setting process, we can gather evidence systematically and analyze it. And the purpose of this to make decision and judgment. And when the standard can meaningfully influence instructions, examinee preparation, and broad understanding of criteria, it means standard setting process have the influence on instruction, examinee preparation, and broad understanding of criteria or level of performance they represent or they are matching with. Initially, planning for any test that will be used to sort or classify individuals into performance categories, it means pass or fail, should include a detailed discussion of the nature of those categories. It means those categories on which we decide the performance of students should be discussed in detail. So a clear understanding of the performance categories will then influence all phases of test. So it means the standard setting process also make clear about the understanding of performance categories that definitely influence all phases of test development. Reporting procedure, scoring interpretations, and validation process. So now I come towards the general approaches to standard setting. In the course or in this text, focus on three approaches of standard setting. However, many specific methods for standard setting, but in this course we will discuss the following three approaches. Number one, examinee-centered versus test-centered. Holistic versus analytical. And number third, norm referenced versus criterion reference. So these are three approaches. Now I'll discuss these three in one by one in detail. Test-centered versus examinee-centered. Test-centered, if standard setting participants primarily view their cut scores recommendations in careful study about test content or test items. It means they will focus on the test content or test items, and judgment will be given about the assessment task. It means that the judgment will be given on the base of students' performance in that test. Examinee-centered, if participants' judgments are primarily about the test takers themselves, it means the examinee-centered approach focus the categories are background of examinees who are taking tests, and focus on test scores. They are focused on test scores in this approach. The next approach, holistic versus analytical model. Holistic model, which assume that achievement or skill is highly integrated. It means the student's performance, examinee's performance in all parts of the content has equal performance or integrated achievement or skills in all sections of performance. While in analytical model, which assume that achievement can be assessed using relative small parts of samples of performance, it means in analytical the student's performance will be assessed in small parts of performance, small samples of performance. And the third approach, norm reference versus criterion reference. Norm reference relative standing. Relative standings depend on the comparison between examinees. It means in this approach, the students are compared in the group themselves. It means each student is compared with the group overall performance of group. It means they are standing in position from 1 to 20 or so on. So if you score in the top 10% of group, it is good enough. And if your score is above average score of the group, it is good enough. And if the score is below average, then performance may be lower level or needs improvement, etc. Criterion referenced, this is called absolute standards. Don't depend on comparison between examinees. It means it doesn't rely on the comparing with the group performance. They are designed to pass examinees with a minimum level of knowledge, skills, or abilities. It means the level of performance of examinees is in knowledge, skills, or abilities is determined first, then their performance is compared or matched with them, and they are decided successful. So they therefore do not depend on distribution of test scores. They are not depend on the test scores. They determining the passing score is absolute. If they come up the level of certain level of knowledge, skills, and abilities, they will be declared pass. So, for example, if you are answered 60% of questions correctly, you are good enough. I want to make more clarity about this, that our national curriculum 2006 distributed the curriculum of each subject. For example, I can say the English subject, or in other subjects, competencies included in standards included in SLOs, and SLOs make benchmarks. So it means the curriculum is divided this way. The standards have been described for each level of students, class 1, class 2, class 3, and so on. Now I will discuss about the policy issues and standard setting. I think there are certain things which should be decided as policy issues in standard setting procedure, and these should be must considered when performance standards are established. For example, failures to include the budget items, scoring models, classification errors, cut scores, etc. These are decided first as a matter of policy, because they are considered as a policy while making each standard setting method, because these are focused equally for all people, for all stakeholders, and they are dealt as a policy issue. Now I will explain about the scoring models. Most common scoring model applied to test is called compensatory and conjunctive model. Compensatory model derives from the fact that stronger performance by an examinee on one item, subset, area, or a component of decision-making system can compensate for weaker performance on another. It means the performance of student is distributed in various sections of performance. So performance of student examinee in one area may compensate the weaker performance of in other. performance section. So this is called compensatory method scoring model. Conjunctive model is used. Examinee must pass or achieve a specified level of performance on each component in decision making system in order to be successful. It means in conjunctive model, the examinee has to clear all performance sections equally, and equally he or she should achieve equal level of performance for making decision to be successful. Now I am coming towards the classification errors. In this process there are some errors. Sometimes examinees who truly possess the knowledge, skills or ability required to pass be classified as proficient, be awarded a diploma and so forth but unfortunately he will be classified as failing, be placed in a less than proficient category, be retained in a grade, be denied to be awarded a diploma they deserve, and so on. Such classification errors are referred to as false negative decisions. False negative decisions. The other classification errors is this way. Sometimes examinees who truly lack the knowledge, skill or ability required to pass be classified as proficient, be awarded a diploma or so on, classified as a passing or proficient, are promoted to next grade. They don't deserve, but so on. Such classification, but they declared pass, and such classification error are referred to as false positive decisions. False positive decisions. Now the most important thing for describing standard setting, it includes item scoring criteria. Item scoring criteria, it's very important to be discussed or to be fixed or focused during standard setting process. Item scoring criteria specify the level of performance required in order to earn a particular score on one specific item. Item scoring criteria are sometimes referred to as a scoring rubrics. These are also renamed as other names, scoring rubrics. Points. We can start from upward to downwards, descending way. For example, the point number 3 and response characteristics will be complete understanding of the problem. For number 2, shows nearly complete understanding, almost nearly complete understanding. It means, but not as compared to the number 3. Then come to number 1. In this matching response characteristics will be shows limited understanding of the problem. For example, on some test or for solving some mathematical problem, or some science description of some science subject, and so on. I'm talking about generally. And for 0 points shows insufficient understanding or non-understanding. So this is scoring criteria. We can describe our experts describe this criteria another way. So total test performance standards. Performance standards refer to mastery of content standards in a global or holistic way. So that is how well the student performs on the whole test. Performance level descriptions. In this description of test performance standards, we will focus on the performance level descriptions and address overall or general performance level and matching performance level descriptions matching to each performance level. For example, the performance of secondary students on English test. Advanced level descriptions will be student performing at advanced level, uses of complex words, applications, active voice, passive voice, etc. The lower level description, performance level description will be proficient. In the same test, the performance of examinee performing at proficient level show overall understanding. And then comes the basic level performance description. Performance basic level limited understanding on that test, and below basic it shows the student's performance below from the basic understanding, even simple reading tasks, etc. So dear students, I have discussed in this session about the definition of standards, methods, approaches of standard setting, scoring criteria, errors, and to test performance standards, performance level descriptions and performance level labels. So if you have any question, you can ask me on the Google Classroom. I will discuss, or I will address your question on that. So this was my session. Thank you very much for your attention. Assalamu alaikum.